This podcast may contain adult themes and strong language.
You stepped onto Busker's Corner.
This story kind of stresses me out, so let me start over. My name's Jethro Easyfields, Busker, sometimes bullshitter, but this is a true story. So getting back to the early 90s, New Orleans, playing in Jackson Square, I would do it kind of religiously, even if it was a Tuesday and a slow night. Maybe it just rained or something, and it was a perfect time to go out and sit around Jackson Square and see what happened.
Hello, welcome to Busker's Corner podcast, where street performers share their most thrilling, unfiltered, and unforgettable stories. I'm your host, Robert, and every episode we dive into stories of behind-the-scenes moments and the highs and lows of life as a busker. Today's storyteller is a true busking pioneer. A musician blending American roots and rock, he's been honing his craft since the 1980s. These days, he entertains crowds in Indianapolis, Indiana, but he spent many years shaping his sound on the vibrant streets of New Orleans. And that's where this story takes us. Here's Jethro Easyfields in a story we call Send in the Clowns.
You know, you start meeting the locals when it's more quiet and stuff like that. And I had this friend, Dave the Clown. Dave wasn't all suited up like everybody else. Sometimes he played guitar and, you know, dressed up like John Hartford. Sometimes he'd be whiteface, so you don't know if he was clowning or busking. But sometimes he did both. But he was a real nice guy. And this one Tuesday night, I'm playing in Jackson Square, probably 8 o'clock at night. I do about an hour or two, and nothing's hitting. I'm getting like $2. And I'm like, let me wait around. And then Dave the Clown comes up, and he goes, "Here, Jethro." He throws something in my case. And I'm like, what was that, a rock? What was that? That wasn't a coin, and I think Dave threw something in my case, and it was kind of one of those things. It's like, did he throw some pills in there or something? And then, another hour goes by, and he comes back and he goes, "Oh, I'm not doing too well tonight." I was like, "Yeah, not too much. I might do a little bit longer." I was like, "What did you throw in my case?" And he says, "I threw a piece of hash in there." I was like, "Oh, some hash?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I'll have to say that for later." He goes, "No, we can do that right now. I live right upstairs, right above you." I was like, "Well, that's like Tennessee Williams, the playwright's old building. Didn't he live upstairs?" He's like, "Well, me and the other clowns have an adjacent apartment in the attic." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that'd be a really cool, it's like 4 stories up. That'd be a really cool look up there." He goes, "Well, there's only like one window." And I was like, "You don't get out on the roof or anything?" It's not with these guys. He goes, "You want to go up?" And I was like, "Okay." He goes, "Yeah, I got to put my white face on." And so I take my guitar, get up, and it's just go up in the stairs, and it's like, this is kind of weird and creepy. I had no idea what I was getting into. It's like a bunch of clowns that live together, and they get really messed up, talk shit, and, talk shop and whatever. So I walk in here, and there's like 8 different clowns, some halfway done, some with rollers in their hair, maybe just like a coffee table and some bad couches and a really ugly dog. And I knew some of these clowns from the street, but some of them were kind of mean. There was the mean clown, and Dave was like the middle of the road clown. And then there's the Intense Bloom clown, and there's Salvador Dali clown. They were all in this room, and I'm like, this is weird, and I wish I had a camera or something. And this is when I started getting stressed out, because then 2 or 3 of them start fighting. Like, it's my turn to use the restroom, or the bathroom. It's like, hey, I got to take my curlers out. And, and then they were fighting, and it was kind of loud. And I'm like, Dave, what are we doing here? It's like, well, we're smoking this hash. And I was like, with these guys? Okay, so we start smoking this hash. And I'm like, just kind of sitting back. And then finally one guy says, what the hell do you do? And I was like, I do a little clowning myself. I used to be in the circus when I was a kid. I used to put up circus posters. And he's like, we don't need no apprentices here. So, then the hash starts hitting, and, they start fighting, blowing up balloons. I was like popping them. And I'm like, dog starts freaking out. I was like, Dave, let's go. And he goes, good timing. And I go down there, and now the street looks a little different. And it's lightly raining. And I'm like, what should I do now, Dave? Well, we got to do what we got to do. We got to entertain the folks here. And I was like, I think I'm going to find a different corner. I was like, I don't want these guys to come out and start giving me a hard time. Which, within a week or two, I started saying, you're that guy. Okay, yeah. There is a little bit more to that story, but I can't go into it because, sometimes you smoke too much hash with balloon clowns. But I did felt like that dog. I felt sorry for it. I was like, geez, But that wasn't the craziest story. But that was a good Tuesday, in New Orleans. New Orleans being magic and tragic all at the same time,
Some pull me closer to the Gulf of Mexico. Tired of being around a Midwestern conservative town.
Man, hash, busking, and an apartment full of clowns. Seriously outrageous. That's what makes busking so incredible. One moment you're playing on the street, the next you're in the weirdest situation you never saw coming. So thank you, Jethro Easyfields, for sharing your story. We'll definitely be hearing more from Jethro in future episodes.
Hey there, I'm your co-host and producer, Fable, chiming in to say thanks for tuning in. Help Busker's Corner podcast keep going. Like, subscribe, and share, especially with your fellow fans and supporters of street performance. Do you have an incredible busking story? We'd love to hear it. Reach out and you could be featured on one of the next episodes of Busker's Corner podcast.
That brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and tune in next time for more incredible stories from the one-of-a-kind world of busking. But for now, you're stepping off Busker's Corner.
You gotta go to Jackson Square. So many different crazy people from all over this world. On Decatur Street, everybody's drinking.